What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Well, this week I am at Rose Hill Cemetery, located in the Antioch, California area. This cemetery is an old pioneer cemetery going back to the coal mining boom of the 19th century. A lot of individuals that are buried in here were victims of coal mining accidents and or various diseases of the time, scarlet fever, smallpox, etc., etc. This is a very interesting cemetery because it is considered to be one of the most haunted cemeteries in California. And it's got a couple stories in here to share. So we're going to walk around and look at this old cemetery. It is located on Mount Diablo Regional Park. It's a park with a lot of hills, as you can see around me, a lot of hills, walking trails, etc., etc. This cemetery is way up on a hillside. I had to walk up quite a steep little trail to get here. So we're going to walk around the cemetery and take a look at it. And there's a couple of people in here I'm trying to find that had some interesting stories behind them. This cemetery, like I said, they consider it one of the most haunted cemeteries in California. So let's get on with it. As I had also mentioned, this cemetery is also on the property of Mount Diablo mines. It's like I said, this is an old coal mining area, and there's walking trails when you're down on the flatland more or down lower below. As you can see, they are trails that will take you by like the old mine shafts. Now, the regional park when they took this over, had sealed up the mine shafts and whatnot, but there's a sign posted, there's actually a couple signs posted around here saying that if you are around the mine shafts, that time, erosion time and some vandalism may have re-exposed some of the old mine shafts. So to be very careful when you're around them and not to go inside of them. So I might do that as a separate video for maybe my other YouTube channel, but definitely an interesting area with some, old coal mining history behind it. So this cemetery goes back to the 1860s and served as a burial ground for coal mining families. And as you can see, this thing is in a very hilly area. This is a very interesting cemetery. I'm looking forward to exploring this with you. Unfortunately, there's certain graves that are over time, and there was some vandalism some years ago. There are some missing stones, unfortunately, or stones that are so damaged they are hard to read. So we'll do our best to walk around and look at different things in here and try to make out what it might say. Every once in a while you'll find a grave that is really badly damaged, and I guess the park district, regional park district, had, see that stone has just been broken off completely. The regional park district will put like a little plaque down for people too in some areas. Now, as you can see, there's a stone missing there, but this one's laying flat, so I'm not sure if it was the one that was originally standing or what. But yeah, this is insane. There's an infant in here, aged 1 year and 3 months, David G. Unfortunately, this is crazy, but there's a lot of damaged stuff in here. It's an interesting stone. Memory of John Richards, born in South Wales, died August 4th, 1874, aged 30 years. William Timothy, son of John and Mary Richards, died June 2nd, 1874, age 17 months. And there's an inscription on the bottom there. I can't even make it out, but as you can see, the stone is... Well, this is interesting right here. This area right here, as you can see, looks like there was a stone in there that is now missing, but they put a plaque on the side of this burial area right here. Let me see here. In memory of David Watts, Theophilus Watts, and Thomas D. James. These young Welshmen died far from home in an 1876 mine accident. Despite the hard times, the people of Nortonville pitched in to erect a white bronze monument on this site. This plaque keeps their memory alive. Dedicated April 5th, 1980. Joaquin Murrieta, Chapter 13, E Clampus Vitus. You can see that. It's interesting. So I guess there was a bronze monument. I guess I would assume this is where the bronze monument was, and I guess somebody, had stolen it. So that's unfortunate. This is very interesting. This is more of a level ground here. So yeah, this is where the bronze monument, I guess, once stood. There was a lot of vandalism here. I heard the park district, I think, took this over. The regional parks district took it over in the 1970s, I do believe, and started a long-term project to repair stuff. And obviously, there's, you know, as the areas you've seen already, in some of these areas, they're still working on it. Actually, probably a ton of money already has gone into this thing. This area is interesting. It's behind a bunch of trees, as you can see. There's no plaque here placed by the parks to see who this was, but another monument that was probably stolen in here. Let me see if I can find some kind of map or some kind of key as to who some of these people are. There were some pamphlets down when I first came in. Maybe they've got some markers, you know, some place on the map that kind of figure out who some of these people were. Interesting find on this one I just showed you. On the map, we have a map. It's down under other unknown grave sites. So this one, for what I can tell from the map, is part of like some unknown grave sites because of the vandalism and damage in here over the years. They did say on the sign coming in that there were, if anybody had any information on the identity of some of these people in this cemetery, to give the park district a call and let them know. I remember seeing that on the way in here too. So there are a few in here that are unknowns because they're so damaged and missing stones that they couldn't even figure out, I guess, maybe records going back that far, 1800s, you know, I guess maybe records were lost on this cemetery, possibly. Remember a minute or two ago when I showed you that one burial area that was dedicated to some of the miners that died? Here is, and it had a bronze monument that was missing. Well, here's a picture. I guess it says it was erected in 1878. Here's an old picture of, I guess, what the bronze monument looked like and what the grave looked like. I know I've probably got a shadow on here, but maybe I could just get out of here better. But that's what it looked like. You guys can make that out. This place is so cool. 1934, erected by Sterling Parlor number 146 and Diamond Parlor number 246 in memory of the pioneers of Nortonville and Summersville. Yeah, from what I understand, the old Nortonville, Summersville sites, I guess when I was reading, this cemetery is located in between the Nortonville and Summersville sites. Another heavily damaged site here. As you can see, it looked like it used to have like a brick border around it. Interesting. I wonder if somebody planted this whole flower here. Let me see. Stone's missing, but then a plaque was placed here in 2004. Thomas H. Jenkins, 1830 to 1882, an infant daughter, April 14th to April 15th, 1880. Oh, wow. Plaque placed in 2004. Like I said, these are all coal miners here. A lot of these people here are all coal miners. Interesting fact about this cemetery. I was looking at the pamphlet with the map, and it says, although no original records have been located for the cemetery, it is believed that there are at least 235 burials here at Rose Hill. It says this cemetery was primarily used between the 1860s and 1900, with most burials occurring in the 1870s when the town's populations were at their peak and disease outbreaks were common. Like I said, scarlet fever, horrible other diseases. So guys, have any of you picked up on any voices you may have heard up in this cemetery? It's nice and quiet. There was wind blowing. I get the occasional like gust of wind blowing, but hopefully the audio for some of you guys, to listen with your high def headphones, hopefully the audio for you guys were good. There is David M. Hughes. He died March 12th, 1888, aged 37 years, native of Wales. And it says at the bottom, absent but not forgotten. Robert Anderson. Birth date unknown, but died October 17th, 1900. We got George Cooper, born 1844, died 1884. Basically it says age 39 to 40. Interesting stone. Nice stone. Looks like it's held up pretty well over time, unless somebody has come in here and cleaned it up. Could be too. A lot of people, volunteers, might come in here and clean this stone up. And his spouse, Maggie Jones Buxton, is on the back of this. Hers comes out probably a little bit better. Age 40 years, 2 months, 27 days. She died October 22nd, 1890. Mrs. Maggie Buxton. There's like some kind of interesting carving in the top of this. Looks like it could be like a plant or a basket of some kind. It's kind of hard to make out. Another interesting part of this grave here is at the foot of it here, as you can see, it's surrounded by brick. But at the foot of it, there's another little stone indicating their initials. Their initials, GC and MB. That's interesting. And then there is their area right there. Here is the Jones family area. Austin Jones, he came from Wales. Interesting. Died November 20th, 1880, aged 46 years. And we got a marker placed over here for his children. There's some children here too. So Louis James Jones is the child. Jenny was another child. Infant children of Austin and Celia Jones, plaque placed in 2005. And his spouse, which is interesting, Celia Spill Jones, his spouse, she's not buried here with them. She is buried in I think Kings County, Washington. Very interesting. And another child, Martha, is listed on Find a Grave as this is another child of that too. Beloved daughter of Austin and Celia Jones. Died October 27th, 1886, aged 18 years, 7 months, 13 days. Wow. And I don't know if there was a marker here for the children before and it was damaged. I would assume that possibly. Mary Tully died November 10th, 1870, aged, I think it's 52 years, 10 months, 15 days. Let's see. Best mother, rest in something, sleep while friends in sorrow. It's kind of rubbed out there. It's hard to read it with the naked eye. But interesting hands at the top of this thing. I would assume this one right here, this stone right here is probably what used to be erect right there. I would assume Katie, daughter of, J.M.B. Altkin, died December 24th, 1879. It says it's broken up here. I can make out aged 4 months, 12 days. And there's weep not, father and mother, for me, for I am waiting in glory of thee, is what it says at the bottom. Wow, it's broken up. You can tell it's damaged. I guess they laid it here just to kind of preserve it. This is a shame. And there's interesting little flowers at the top. This one's interesting. Gwelyn Humphreys, I think it is, 1874 to 1877, I think I can make out on this stone. Wow. Interesting little border around this. Here's an interesting grave here. I don't want to step all over this, get too close to it, because, you know, it's, don't want to be disrespectful here, but we got Daniel Richards. He was born in Wales, and his occupation was a miner. So when the mining boom happened, Daniel Richards came out here with his wife, Mary. Daniel died, he was born July 20th, 1821, died September 11th, 1890, age 69 years, 1 month, 22 days, gone by sight, but not in memory, or not by memory, excuse me. Mary, wife of Daniel Richards, died December 13th, 1888, aged 63 years, asleep in Jesus, I think it says at the bottom. The interesting about her stone is that Richards is spelled wrong. It's R-I-T-C-H-A-R-D-S. They spelled it wrong on the stone, but I guess they went with it. Richards is supposed to be R-I-C-H-A-R-D-S, and they spelled it with a T. But another example of the coal mining families that were out here. Like I said, I'm not going to jump all over in here. I don't want to be disrespectful, and there's people around and whatnot. I don't want anybody to get mad at me for climbing on this. But as Daniel, I zoomed it in as much as I can do, and Mary. I could probably walk up along the side here of Mary and show you the little... I can go up in here a little bit and show you guys a little bit of the, I guess, spelling mistake there. This is the stone of Annie Spowert. Born in Australia, December 10th or 16th, 1860, and died June 7th, 1872. Aged 11 years and 6 months. Lies the darling of my heart. As you can see, it's cracked. It's hard to read. It was hard to part. But I hope to meet at heaven's door, my Annie dear, and part. Yeah, it's all broken up. I can only make out little bits and pieces of it. What's interesting about Annie here is she was age 11 years, 6 months. She died of smallpox in Somersville, which is not too far from here. And her parents may have come to Somersville during the Civil War. Her father is believed to have operated a saloon in Somersville. And her sister, Eliza, may also be buried in here. Again, I guess that's a grave that was lost, or records that were lost. So her sister may be buried in here too. A.J. Markley, Andrew Jackson Markley. He says here he had served as a clerk for Contra Costa County from 1869 to 1870. Markley Creek in Somersville was named for him. He died of heart disease in Martinez, and he shares the gravesite with his 2 children, Eliza, Jane, and David, who died in Somersville. So he was Contra Costa County. He was a clerk from 1869 to 1870. And I would assume that's where the stone was before, and now here's where it is now, I would assume. There's Eliza Jane. And infant son David. Or his infant son... Oh, here we go. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. The thing's so broken, it's hard to read. Sons of Temperance. thing I found down here, very interesting. Down here close to when you come into the cemetery, there's various stones down here, as you can see. They're marked, some of them are marked. But I'm going to look at something over here. I would assume this is possibly a grave. I guess it was a stone. There, it's next to the fence right here. But it's, looks like it was broken off or something. Interesting. Actually, it looks like on the map, according to the map, this is Ruth French. That's what the map said. Because you're right next to the fence, right on the stairs when you come up. Here's another plaque in place of a missing stone. Millie Pohl, born January 12th, 1872, died January 16th, 1875. And Dora, January of 1874, July 14th, 1874. Whoa. Plaque placed in 2007. Here's another interesting one behind this gate enclosure. Hard to get really close to it, really see. I think the last name is Davis. Native of South Wales. Another, I'm sure, coal miner that came here during the boom. The youngest known person put in here was the one-day-old unnamed daughter of Thomas and Elizabeth Jenkins, who died April 15th, 1880, and was buried with her father. So the youngest person that was put in here was in the Jenkins family area here with her parents, Thomas and Elizabeth. But it says that she was unnamed. The most recent burial in here on record is William T. Davis. He was born 1875 and died 1954, and he's the most recent known burial in here. And the oldest known burial in here was 81-year-old Ruth French. She is notable in here because she was the oldest known person on record to be buried in here at 81 years old. Well, this one is overgrown big time. Can't even make out the name on that one. Another damaged area. Elizabeth Kane, wife of James Kane. Interesting. Little flowers are planted in here. Stones been broken off. I was talking to a local around here, and he said that 10 years ago, this place has come a long way in 10 years. He said 10 years ago, a lot of the stones that you see that are standing in the distance there, a lot of them were flat on the ground. So the regional parks people over the last 10 or more years have been repairing graves and putting stones back up. And here's another one that has no stone. Looks like it was ripped right out. Another story for you from this very cemetery. It is regarding what they call the White Witch of Rose Hill Cemetery. Again, the story takes place at night. There has been reports of another apparition being seen around here of a white woman. They called her the White Witch of Rose Hill Cemetery. People have been in here and claim to have seen the White Witch. The White Witch is reportedly Miss Sarah Norton. As you saw probably one of my other videos I did, and I included her grave. She is reportedly what they think is the White Witch of Rose Hill Cemetery. A quick history on Sarah Norton. She was a midwife that supposedly in the area, and from a lot of these families around here, delivered over 600 babies. And she was on her way to another call, at a town not too far from here, but she was thrown from her buggy and died instantly. And she was 68 years old. Sarah Norton, she was not a religious woman and had told her family that when she died, she did not want a funeral. But the people of the town wanted to give her one because I guess probably because of her service, she did, you know, she was a midwife and everything else. On the day of her funeral, a fierce storm broke out. So the townspeople decided to actually delay it till the next day. And then when they tried to do the funeral again the next day, another storm broke out and livestock started charging through the town of Somerville. And it was at that point the townspeople just completely gave up trying to give her a funeral, and they just buried her here in the cemetery. And supposedly the reports are from that day forward, her spirit was seen floating around Somersville and the other mining towns. And even in this very cemetery, people have claimed to have seen her spirit floating around the tombstones. And that's where the story of the White Witch of Rose Hill Cemetery came about. You know, another urban legend, you know, very, very interesting, you know, story. Like I said, this cemetery is one of the most haunted in California. It's on a list of one of the most haunted cemeteries in California. And people in here even, you know, died in mining accidents in the mining, you know, the coal mines over here. They died in mining accidents. They died of things like, you know, smallpox and just horrible, horrible diseases. It's, you know, Sarah Norton over here was doing a good thing. She was, you know, delivering babies. And that's the story surrounding her death and the mysterious circumstances around the funeral they tried to give her. And there's a couple of ghost stories, like I stated in my last video. This is one of the most haunted cemeteries in California, or considered to be one of the most haunted cemeteries in California. And there's a couple of creepy stories associated with this cemetery that it's interesting. They're not super long stories, but there's a couple of them regarding what people have seen in here, apparitions that people see roaming in here. In the evening, I guess there was people up in here before that have seen certain things and have reported it. So let's get into that. Now, this is one of the oldest reported story of someone seeing a ghost or whatnot in here, or ghosts. It comes from a man. There was no date attached to this story. It was on a website called calexplornia.com, I think it is. I'll put the link to it in the description box below. It was a man who reported to have been in here at night, in this cemetery at night. Like I said, there's no year attached to it, but it is known to be one of the oldest stories reported about things being seen in this cemetery at night. It was a man who was in here at night, and I guess he was at the bottom of the hill there, as you can see. And he said he could see from the top of the hill here, I guess coming down, he said he could see what was off in the distance, a funeral procession coming down the hill here at night. And they were people, they were coming down the hill, and they were holding candles as they were coming down the hill here. I would assume it was probably this road right here that comes down in the middle of the cemetery here. Let's walk over here and look at it. He said he saw a funeral procession at night coming down from the top of the hill, coming all the way down as you come down here. And I guess he was out there at the very bottom of the cemetery when he saw this at the gate coming in. And the man had claimed as the funeral procession got closer and closer to him, and he could see candles in their hands flickering, he had realized that they weren't people, they were apparitions. And he said when the procession got closer to him, everybody just disappeared. Now, this is just one of, you know, a few stories about this cemetery, you know, urban legend of this cemetery. But, yep, I guess the procession was coming down this hill right here, and he saw it from the bottom of the hill. And then when they got to him, like he said, they just all vanished mysteriously. That's very, very interesting. Like I said, just one of many stories in this cemetery. Thank you all so much for watching this video and, you know, letting me share this little story with you. I've got another story to tell about this place that involves somebody that I covered a video or so ago in this very cemetery, and we'll get to that on the next video. But thank you all so much for watching. If you are digging this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon. Therefore you can be notified of all my future uploads. And if you're digging ghost stories like this, let me know if you want me to do other stories like it. Thank you all so much, and I'll talk to you soon.